Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about what I believe is the ultimate Bitcoin price prediction. Highest possible price that I think Bitcoin will hit. Now, it's possible we go higher. In fact, my Bitcoin price prediction really underpins a lot of my investing when it comes to cryptocurrency. And in today's video, we're going to look at some of the resistance to cryptocurrency. I'm also going to talk to you about two fundamental reasons that support my ultimate price prediction for Bitcoin. I'm going to share with you the exact dollar that I think Bitcoin's going to go to. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you sort of my investment strategy once you understand my underlying thesis about the future of Bitcoin. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, you're going to find out that I'm very bullish on the future of Bitcoin. It does not mean that I'm a Bitcoin maximalist at all. It simply means that I believe that Bitcoin has the best risk versus reward. I think most of us in the cryptocurrency space don't think Bitcoin is going to go to zero, and we can't necessarily say that for all the other cryptocurrencies. And also, I think Bitcoin still has a significant upside, although it doesn't have the biggest upside. That's going to go to some of your altcoins. Let's get started on my Bitcoin price prediction. Where do I think this can go? I want to just show you a video from 3 or 4 years ago, and I want you to just kind of pay attention to what Andreas Antonopoulos says about Bitcoin. When you hear what he says in this 30 to 60 second start of this video, I think you're going to recognize right then and there that the world is already shifting a great deal, because in order for Bitcoin to get to where I think it can go, the world's going to have to continue to shift a great deal more. But first, take a look at this video. Listen carefully. And by the way, shout out to Altcoin Daily on my channel. I don't have any problem shouting out another YouTube channel. In fact, I will put the link to his video down in the comments. I don't always do that, but I will. I want you to make certain you watch this video. It's a 20-minute video. We're just going to watch the first 60 seconds. This video is about 3 or 4 years old. So this was what people were saying 3 or 4 years ago.
Drug dealers, pornographers, criminals. Guess what? That's what they said at the first conference in 1993 about the internet. They were wrong then, they're wrong now.
This is the greatest crypto explanation of all time.
Go down in the description and watch that full video, a greatest crypto explanation of all time in under 20 minutes on Altcoin Daily's YouTube channel. Now, you got to understand, Andreas Antonopoulos said this. This was long before anyone was even talking about having a Bitcoin ETF. Cathie Wood says recently, as early as or as late as January 11th, she revised a previous price prediction. Now, Cathie Wood says that she sees Bitcoin price reaching $1.5 million by 2030, inside of 6 years. In my opinion, that's aggressive. Now, it's important to understand, let's take an objective approach to this. And I believe the best way for us to be able to manage all of our investments is to try to both look at the negative and the positive. Why is someone saying something? How true do we believe that could be, and whatnot? So Cathie Wood, she owns a lot of Bitcoin. She's investing in Bitcoin. She's incredibly biased to be able to see the price go up. But what's interesting is she's willing to say $1.5 million, and she's willing to say it out loud. Because the first time on this channel that I ever said I thought Bitcoin could go to $1 million back in 2017, it sounded insane. And that was back when I had a little tiny channel. I didn't even have 1,000 subscribers at the time. My comments below, people thought it was crazy. But I'm here to tell you, now we have someone in mainstream traditional finance who obviously is heavily biased. But here's what's fascinating about this prediction. Just 3 or 4 months ago, her prediction was $1 million. And if you read through this article, she was basically being asked, hey, do you still think Bitcoin can go to $1 million? And because of the FTF approval, she said, no, I think it could go to 1.5 million, and I think it will go there by 2030. Well, ladies and gentlemen, could you imagine if you just owned one Bitcoin? For most people, having any asset worth $1.5 million that is a liquid asset, meaning they could easily sell it, that's financial security. That's financial safety. That is incredible to imagine one Bitcoin going to $1.5 million. But do you think it will happen? Let me know down in the comments. Now let's go over to someone else, Mr. Michael Saylor. He says that he remains bullish on Bitcoin as a future digital gold and targets a $1 million per coin price. Now here's what's interesting. He's currently calling out what he sees as the biggest use case for Bitcoin. And that is for Bitcoin to be digital gold, a digital store of value. I do believe that it could be a form of digital store of value eventually. Why? Because Bitcoin is better than gold in so many ways. It's more limited. It's more transportable. It's easier to store. Listen, I know people who have significant amounts of gold, and they pay a storage fee of 3% to 4% per year, and they don't keep it at their house. So many ways, Bitcoin, in my opinion, could make for a better version of a digital gold eventually. I believe that's where it's headed. The market cap of gold right now is $13.6 trillion. That's the market cap of all the current gold. Now, here's the crazy thing. New gold's getting mined every year, so the supply is actually expanding, where Bitcoin supply is actually decreasing. But wealth, there's 21 million Bitcoin ever to be mined. They're always mining more. Yes, you're right. There will only ever be 21 million, but the halving is slowing down how fast that is getting produced. Plus, Bitcoin are getting lost every day. People's losing access to their private keys every day. Satoshi's Bitcoin has never been moved, and who knows if Satoshi's alive, if Satoshi still has access to those private keys, but those Bitcoin may never go into circulation ever. Is if you just look at the price of Bitcoin, and let's use round numbers. Let's call it 50,000, right? The price of Bitcoin is 50,000. And if you understand that the current Bitcoin market cap is just under right here, just under 1 trillion. The market cap of gold is 13.6 trillion. 50,000 times 13.6 is $680,000. But if Bitcoin does in fact become digital gold, then for sure we could see a $500,000 Bitcoin, 600, 700, maybe $750,000 Bitcoin for sure if Bitcoin is in fact digital gold. But what else is Bitcoin supposed to be? When Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin, what was the idea behind this blockchain system? What was it all about? Helping bank the unbanked, being able to give people a way to be able to transfer value, permissionless, confiscation resistant. I don't know how many of you traveled in, but anytime you go overseas, you're never supposed to carry more than $5,000 or $10,000 with you. And if you do, you're supposed to claim it, and it's a whole process on you. And if you get caught with it and you didn't say you were bringing it into the country, then you're smuggling cash. That's a whole big ordeal. It's almost like smuggling drugs in some cases. But imagine just carrying 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, $1 million in Bitcoin on a simple hardware wallet. It's insanely transportable. And obviously that makes it even confiscation resistance from a physical standpoint there as well. There's so many things about Bitcoin as a currency. And of course, we're not there yet. First of all, people aren't ready yet to accept it. But it's possible over time, people want to be able to take back their sovereignty. Now, if you're an American citizen, you could not imagine using anything else other than the US dollar. And I get that. I fully get that. But if you look at, for example, other countries around the world, there are a lot of wealthy individuals around the world, even here in the US, that they're trying to put a significant portion of their savings somewhere else and holding traditional US dollar treasury type assets because they're concerned about the long-term viability of the dollar. I think over time, that we'll only see more people become concerned. And at that point, more and more people will start considering using something like Bitcoin. Now, some people like to say, yes, but what about the fact that Bitcoin is not easy to send and receive for small purchases? I'm going to tell you that makes a lot of sense, and I get it. You're not going to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin that costs $5 when you got to pay a $30, sometimes a $15 transaction fee, essentially. I understand that. And I'm going to present something else to you that not many people say. Bitcoin does not have to be the currency of exchange between two individuals for it to still be used as some form of money. But it's very possible Bitcoin could be the backing for some sort of money, physical money or digital asset. We could always have, some sort of digital asset that's much easier to transact in, that's faster, quicker, cheaper, and Bitcoin could be backing it. And we could know at any given time we were able to redeem that cheaper, faster cryptocurrency for Bitcoin if we wanted. Like that's always possible. The way the technology stands yet, I will agree with you, we're not quite there. But there are improvements in crypto happening all the time, and a lot of improvements come out of necessity. If we continue to see the decline of the dollar, US dollar, for example, we see less and less people using the US dollar, or we see the US dollar, which most financial institutions, most analysts at high levels agree that the US dollar will not always be the world's reserve currency. Now, I don't have time in this video to go into that. But if you understand that, then you recognize that the world over time will be looking for alternative methods of transacting. And if we ever go towards a full blockchain digital currency, I don't see how Bitcoin's not going to be a part of that. Now, you may not agree with me, and if so, I totally get it. But with Bitcoin being used primarily as money, the question comes down to, okay, if we're going to use Bitcoin as money, how high would the price of Bitcoin actually go? Well, it's difficult to determine, but one thing we can look at, and again, I think this is a conservative estimate, we can look at the US liquid money supply. Now, here's what's crazy. It's a $20 trillion market cap, almost $21 trillion. But before we go crazy here, think about this. This does not include, if we're talking about something that could be the world's currency, the world reserve currency, or if Bitcoin ultimately ends up backing everybody's currency, now all of a sudden, you are talking about something that would have more than $1 trillion market cap. The M2 money supply does not take into account Zimbabwean dollars, Saudi Arabian dollars, European dollars, pounds, yen, whatever, I mean, Japanese yen, whatever. It doesn't take into account any other currency and the value of those currencies. So this number could easily double, triple, or quadruple or more. Potentially. The US M2 money supply is $20.8 trillion, just using that number alone. If Bitcoin ever became, now in a moment, I'm going to talk to you about how this affects my underlying investment thesis and how I invest in cryptocurrency. The M2 money supply being basically 21 trillion. Let's just take a look at that for a second. Basically just over $1 million, 1,050,000. That would be if Bitcoin became the world's currency, so to speak. And potentially it could go higher. Again, I said this 20 trillion number could get doubled or quadrupled potentially. So you could see some crazy number. So my prediction for Bitcoin is I believe that we're going to, at least my personal belief, again, this is not financial advice for you. This is me and what I think about my cryptocurrency investing. I genuinely believe there will come a time when we will probably see $1 million Bitcoin prices. $1 million Bitcoin prices. And again, 2017, when Bitcoin was trading around $10,000, people thought that was nuts. But I do believe that's going to happen. Just let me know in the comments if you think that can happen. What time period do we think that can happen? Understanding that Bitcoin could get to $1 million. Currently, Bitcoin's around $50,000. And for the foreseeable future, it's going to be under $100,000. My number one priority when I started investing in cryptocurrency was to make certain that I owned at least one Bitcoin. And I believe if you're going to be in the cryptocurrency space, I don't believe that cryptocurrency should be the biggest part of your portfolio asset. In fact, I believe it should be the highest risk area of your portfolio asset. None of this is financial advice. I just don't think anybody should bank the farm on cryptocurrency. Personally, you shouldn't put your home at risk, your livelihood at risk on cryptocurrency. It's entirely too volatile for that. But if you're talking about 5%, 10%, 20%, 25% of your overall investing portfolio, then I believe the focus, personally, my opinion, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I believe that everybody should do their best. And currently, with Bitcoin prices where they're at, we should do our absolute best over the next year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, do everything we can to own at least one Bitcoin. How long do I think it will take us to get to $1 million per Bitcoin? Because if you come over here to Kathy Wood says she thought we were going to get 1.5 million in 2030. Listen, I would be glad to be wrong about this. I think this is optimistic. I think she's being biased. I think she's trying to pump up her own bags right here. I do not think we're going to hit $1.5 million in Bitcoin. I do, however, think it is possible that we will get to $1 million per Bitcoin. And I think that it will probably happen 10 years from now, which would be 2034. Please feel free to put this in your calendar, bookmark this video, because I want to see how well it ages. But I do absolutely believe that it's possible, and it could happen faster. But I believe by 2034, we could see $1 million per Bitcoin. If you think that can happen, let me know down in the comments. But I want to just put a stamp on it, if you will. I want to come back to this video over here from Altcoin Daily, and this is just the very end of it. I want you to listen to what Andreas Antonopoulos is saying here, because I think this is the part that people miss about cryptocurrency when you talk about how incredible cryptocurrency is. Because I believe that right now the government is willing to have an ETF, but I believe they may continue to push back against private individuals being able to interact in decentralized finance. And this is what he has to say about it right here.
So how do we fix that? Up to now, the approach for all of these technologies, whether it was PayPal or any of the other technologies we've seen emerge in financial technology very, very slowly was to carefully and politely ask for permission. Bitcoin is not asking for permission.
He's talking about asking for permission. If you wanted to do something to be able to help people create a company or a product to be able to transact freely, without necessarily being a bank, there's really no way to do that. You had to get government regulations, you had to get licensing, you had to be able to get approved by various governments around the world to be able to help transact around the world. So he's saying, what is the answer to that? Up until now, we've had to ask permission, get approvals from government entities.
We forgot to do that.
Bitcoin doesn't ask for permission. We forgot to do that.
And so we will proceed in banking the entire world without asking for anyone's permission. This protocol is now spreading. And if this one gets shut down, a 14-year-old with a copy of my book can rebuild it in a weekend in any programming language and launch it again with its new name. And again, and again, and again, until we succeed. The world is now connected. Finance is now an application, and money is a content type. Welcome to our new planet.
I'm here to tell you, when he says money is a content type, Richard Hart of Pulse Chain is currently arguing that very thing to the SEC and ultimately to the court system. And I cannot wait to see how that plays out, because all of a sudden, as he said 4 years ago, Andreas Antonopoulos, money is now a content type. And I think we're past the point of Bitcoin ever being able to be shut down. It's entirely too decentralized at this point. Let me know down in the comments. Do you think Bitcoin will ever get shut down? And do you think that we're headed towards new all-time highs in 2024? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll make certain I put the video down on the end screen so you can check out that full video from Andreas Antonopoulos as well. Thank you for watching.